Alright, this is the Vevor 7x14 mini lathe. I picked this up on eBay. Free shipping, it was $380 on sale, so uh, I didn't expect too much. Now, it was advertised as a imperial lathe, or uh, inches, say standard. Anyways, when it did show up, it is metric, which I assumed it was metric. The picture showed it was metric. The description said that it was say, but the forward, reverse, all that works. Now, let me plug it in. Sorry. Switch. So we'll go forward. I mean, that's kind of nice. Reverse. I do like that compared to my other lathe. That's pretty nice, to be honest. And to change direction of the lead screw or disengage it, it's just back here, which is pretty nice. I do like that. I tore the whole thing apart and cleaned it up and re-oiled it and tightened everything up. The saddle seems to move decent. Cross slide, after being tightened up, the action is pretty decent, pretty smooth, and I don't have a lot of lift. The compound leaves a little to be desired, and I have adjusted this a couple times now, but I will have to tighten it up because you can see, if I could quit moving my arm, I do have some movement there. I have to tighten it up again. I don't know what happened with that, but I had it set. I will have to reset it. As far as turning goes, it did okay. This isn't a finishing pass. I'm using a 60-degree carbide insert, but it's okay. I mean, it does the job. I pulled the chuck off and checked the spindle run out, and it's just about a thousandth of an inch, maybe a little less. So that actually surprised me. I'm happy with that. It did get damaged in shipping. The crate showed up all busted up. It was delayed. I assume there was an accident, a trucking accident, and this guy got broke, along with the little box that came with the light, which whatever. And it also was missing those two wrenches, which isn't a huge deal, but it would be nice to have them so I don't have to break out my good wrenches on this. They could just stay with the lathe. Now, everything seems to work okay. Now, the tailstock, I put a center, dead center, in the spindle and lined this up, and it is fairly decent in alignment. It's a little high and it's a little back, but here's the problem with that, because usually, because this is adjustable, you would say on a standard lathe like this guy, you would loosen the locking clamp, tighten the screw on this side, loosen it on that side, and you can shift this whole tailstock over. This one is done with a screw on the bottom, cap screw on the bottom, which is, not ideal. But I mean, I guess you could use it that way. Now, here's the issue with adjusting. Say I'm turning a long piece. A lot of times I'll turn between centers. I like running between centers. I really like running between centers. I do it a lot. Um, the tailstock, if I'm turning a taper, if I run that long and I find out that I'm turning a taper, generally I would adjust tailstock forward or back to change the distance from my tool to remove the taper, right? Or say I want to turn a long taper, a taper longer than this compound slide can do and longer than I would trust this to do. This is really more for the compound is more for like threading when you got to come in at an angle. It's not all that critical. Or like short tapers if you wanted to make like a center, 60 degree or 45, whatever. It's for short tapers. It's not really made for doing long tapers. So generally, if I'm doing taper anything, because I make tooling for this and for that, and even for this guy. Um, Generally, I use the offset tailstock like a lot. It's one of those things I personally use a lot. So that's the adjustment on this is kind of not so great. But now let's get to fit and finish. The carriage actually fits pretty decent, but the tailstock is absolutely terrible. This V, the screw to set on this V-way, is way too shallow. But there's not enough material here to mill that and make it right. Now, because I have almost a 1/4 inch. You're talking 250 thou, 200 thou, 250 thou to get it to be level to where you could move back and forth. Issue with that is I could shim it, but when I shim it, not only am I moving the center back or towards the front, I'm also raising it. So now my center height is wrong, which would require milling of the top of this. So this whole piece is just wrong. And I'm not really sure how I'm going to go about that. Honestly, what I will probably do is either get a piece of steel, or because I'm not going to be able to get a piece of cast iron that way. Well, maybe. Probably just get a piece of steel, or more than likely, I will cast a new one out of aluminum. And just for this plate, with the rigidity that this has, it already has rigidity issues. I don't think it's really going to make that big of a difference. And then I can make this stand up, put a standoff on each end, just redesign it to where I have grub screws to move it side to side as well. So I'm probably going to have to redesign this and remake it. But, I mean, I guess I would say for 380 bucks, I would buy it again. But you do absolutely get what you pay for. I mean, with the amount of things that you would have to make to actually for me to make this lathe, and all the mill work and everything. Say if you want to go like a Gingry, lathe, you'd have all that time, casting and everything. So I guess it's not terrible. The tailstock is really what bothers me the most, because that is terrible. And I don't know if I mentioned, but this also says it has a high and a low range. It does not, which is also a little disappointing. But I guess I'm rambling now, but you can see the issue there, and this is a well-documented issue after I started looking for it, It's a pretty well documented issue. This is kind of nice. I do like the cam lock for the tailstock. That's pretty nice. It's just coming from this little girl right here. You know, obviously, this is a huge lathe. This is a 16 by 12 foot long lathe, South Bend. Real old school, real heavy duty. I mean, my tailstock weighs more than that entire mini lathe. So I didn't expect perfection, but there are some things that are irritating. The tailstock, and this dial here is absolutely useless. There's no indicator mark on the cross slide, and I could punch one in, but this is so poorly made that you would never get any sort of accuracy out of that. The only thing I can hope is that this edge here is perpendicular to the bedways. I haven't checked that. And then you can use an angle finder or a protractor to set your angle of the compound. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a lot of trial and error to get that set. But anyways, it's a really long video now, but that's my take on the cheap Vevor 7x14. I'd buy it again, but some things to be aware of if you're looking for one.